So, Jim Acosta, as you're likely aware, lost his White House hard pass, they call it. Meaning he was barred from White House press briefings and access to the White House because of his conduct at a recent press conference held by the president, in which he, put his hands on a female intern. Of course, late night media all chalked it up to being, an overreaction on the part of the of the White House, and that, that Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she released a doctored video showing that he had assaulted her when, it wasn't assault. Everybody knows it wasn't assault, but it was conduct that, really required that they punish him in some degree. Well, I guess today a federal judge decided that in his favor, saying that no, he needs his hard pass returned. Now, I wish the White House had said, screw you, we're not returning it. But they complied. And it's probably, when it comes right down to it, it's probably for the best that they complied, because otherwise they make a martyr out of Jim Acosta. And if, there's anything he doesn't need, it's to have his, what do you call it? His indignation be justified, right? So, anyway, he gets his press pass back. He's all smiles and shit. And, I'm looking on social media, and people are all like, oh, that's stupid. It's not a right. He shouldn't have had it returned to him. Like, whatever. You know what? I look at it as the White House is being the bigger person in this case. You're going to say, fine, we'll give you the press pass back. We're not going to fight. We're not going to go against a judge's order for such a minor, stupid, insignificant thing. Here's your press pass back. Now, the judge in the case said, look, you don't have to call on him. But do you think that'll stop Jim Acosta? If he's not called on, you don't think he's just going to shout out questions all the time and demand that his questions be answered? He's got an ego bigger than Trump and more fragile than Trump. He's a whiny little baby. And just some of the comments I saw on social media. What did somebody call CNN? The CNN stands for Complete Narcissist Network, which I thought was pretty funny, and I hope that acronym sticks. I think that's pretty good. But you know what I think would be good is if the next press conference, the White House, Sarah Huckabee Sanders comes out and says, "Thank you everybody for coming. Let's start the Jim Acosta show," and just answer Jim Acosta's questions. Just let him ask all the questions for the entire press briefing, and that'll piss off the other reporters. They'll be the ones complaining about not having access. Really indulge the guy and showcase him as being the petulant dweeb that he is. So yeah, Sarah Sanders should just say, "Thank you for coming to this latest installment of the Jim Acosta Show. Jim, what is your first question?" And just answer his questions for the entire 20-30 minute briefing, right? And then, let the other reporters stew about the fact that Jim made a big stink about something, and now they're indulging him completely. Now, the only thing that might cause is, other reporters will start behaving badly too, and hope that they get the same sort of recognition. Kind of like, remember watch Storage Wars? There was a Storage Wars show, and they had their sort of core group of people that they would sort of follow around and focus the show on. And once Storage Wars became popular, you saw all these people coming out of the woodwork with their own little gimmicks to try and get the attention of the cameras. People would squeeze little ducks and stuff like that to make a noise, saying that they were bidding. I could see that happening. I could see these other reporters starting to behave like a bunch of idiots. Anyway, I think this is going to backfire on CNN, and I think it's going to backfire on Jim Acosta. He's already sort of known for being this, this prima donna, and now this is just going to, cement that further. The other option would be for Sarah Sanders to not call on him at all, right? Just ignore him. The president could just ignore him. Or the president could just insult him the entire time, which he's more than happy to do. I don't know. It's all a big farce. But it's just kind of interesting to watch how people react. It's just, media or politics is the new sort of popular culture now, right? It's sort of taken over everything. The way the media reports on the president and every little thing that goes on, it's like it's Donald Trump he had a reality show, The Apprentice. The White House, the federal politics is now like a reality show, which could be a good thing. I mean, it means people are more engaged, people are more aware of what's going on politically. I think that might end up helping Trump, because when you look at what he does, his sort of photo ops and his sort of public pronouncements and these little executive orders that he signs, he always makes a big to-do out of it. And most of the stuff he's doing, could only be regarded as good. Like the most recent prison reform and corrections reform bill that he proposed, or order or action that he proposed, and he wants Congress to vote on it. And it's got bipartisan support as well. I mean, you've got Democrats and Republicans saying, yeah, this is a good thing. It's something that we couldn't get even started before. And here's the president is sort of like getting behind it and pushing it and sort of bankrolling it, to use a sort of loose term, bankrolling it, and then he's spending political capital to do it for something good. So this is the thing, like, if you look at what he does, 4 years after his presidency is done, you're not going to be able to point to very many things that he did that were wrong or bad. What you will be able to point to are things that he said that were maybe, controversial at the time. But same goes for Reagan. Reagan said controversial shit. And he's widely regarded by Republicans anyway as one of their greatest presidents ever. Democrats hated him, and Democrats are going to continue to hate Trump. No matter what good he might do for America, they will never like him. And I think that's the Democrats, that's sort of the impetus or the reason behind all of their ire towards Republican leaders, is that they're so damn successful. They're so good. I mean, not all of them, obviously. George W. Bush was a bit of a schmuck. George Herbert Walker Bush. But you can't discount the effect they had on the country. And you can't discount what Trump's doing in terms of it being effective for the country. Unemployment rate at record lows across all demographic groups. Economy booming. Labor participation, super high numbers. I think I read something where there's been the greatest increase in millionaires in the last quarter than any time previous. Like the last however many months, there were so many millionaires added to the millionaire rolls over the last, I don't know how many months, but it was a remarkable number apparently. Anyway, now Democrats will look at that as saying, see, there's more rich people and there's more poor people. Well, even the poor people are doing a lot better now than they were over the previous 8 years. Anyway, it's just kind of remarkable that for all the negative press that Trump gets, he's still being very effective at what he's doing. And at the end of the day, I think he's going to win the media war, if he hasn't already. I think he's going to win in the in the narrative about his presidency is only going to be positive when looked back upon by historians. I said this shortly after he was elected, that I was hopeful that he'd be like a Calvin Coolidge. And you know, Calvin Coolidge is, he was known as the great abstainer. He didn't sign a lot of bills into law during his time in office, but he oversaw a really positive time for America. And it was under the, I guess, the paradigm that no new laws is good. And so when I see people, you know, criticizing this president for not signing any new laws into not signing any new legislation, I'm like, that's a good thing. So maybe he will be, you know, a bit like Coolidge in that sense. Except that Coolidge was kind of dry. He was kind of soft-spoken. He wasn't known for making, you know, great big speeches or being controversial. He was kind of a boring president, but nonetheless an effective one. Well, Trump is anything but boring, but he's sort of following in Calvin Coolidge's sort of model, right? He's not signing any new laws in. And he's actually doing things via executive order, sure, that are good for the country. Like just plain empirically good, not you know, well, you could argue that they're good, you could argue that, no, they're just all in all good. Deregulation. Oh, I went the wrong way. There's a bunch of construction here. Anyway, I'm just, this whole Jim Acosta thing just sort of shows to me, and should showcase to anybody watching, that this isn't even a loss for Trump. This is actually a win, because he comes out looking like the gracious one. He comes out looking like the adult in the room, which is funny to say because, you know, he's characterized so poorly by the media as being, you know, a whiny baby. He's anything but. He's, he kind of rises above it all. And not rises above it all like Obama did. Obama had this sort of demeanor, made you think he was unflappable, right? Nothing really got to him. Trump tweets out, and you can tell things are getting to him, but he's not unflappable, but he does seem to sort of sit above it all. And he's maintaining this separation of the executive branch from the judicial and the legislative branch the way a president should, which is good in my opinion. But, you know, every time you hear the media talk about him, he's a tyrant who's overstepping his bounds as a president. It's simply not true when you look at what's going on. But, you know, that's a criticism of him as well. You know, his detractors will say, oh, well, you know, here he is. He had the Senate and the House and the executive branch, and he couldn't get any laws passed, or he couldn't get anything done with this, or he couldn't get anything done with that. He understands, and his advisors know the limits of the executive branch, and they're maintaining that sort of separation of powers. Anyway, I've gone on far too long. It's 13 minutes, almost 14 minutes now. But I just wanted to give my my 2 cents on the whole Acosta thing and the ongoing media war between the White House and the mainstream media, and how Trump is winning it every single day. Thanks very much, folks. Have a good weekend. Watch me on BitChute. Like and subscribe. All that kind of stuff. Check out my fellow Canadian YouTubers, Irving Twin, Ben Tomlinson, Kelly Day. They're all great contributors to the platform and great sources of opinion and commentary and information. Thanks again, and I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good weekend.